It's not happening again right then, but whether you're a person that's been in a relationship and the betrayals that took place and the heartbreak and the financial deception and all those things, you're gonna deal with that also, because you're gonna relive the events. You're gonna relive that, and you're gonna feel the emotion of those experiences. Because I say this, and it's something that when I studied it, I just understood the power of the subconscious. Our subconscious mind is a recorder. It's the thing it's a part of our brain that records information. Thank y'all for tapping the screen. Thank y'all for the likes, the shares. Thank y'all for the follows. Appreciate everybody that's in here. It's the part of your mind that records information. It's the part of your mind where habits are. It's the part of your mind where your decisions are. But it also is the part of your mind when emotional events take place, when events take place that are high charged emotional events. When those events take place, that part of your mind grabs that information about that experience and it stores it in your mind. So this is why our minds are set up in such a way. Good evening. Our minds are set up in such a way that you will repeat the cycle. You will repeat the experience. If you're not changing and shifting your mindset and doing certain techniques to change and shift your mindset, you're going to keep repeating this cycle. You're going to keep repeating this process over and over and over and over again until at some point, maybe you're going to get tired, and then you're going to seek the help that you need, that where you can we can get off of this wheel, get off this Ferris wheel of just living out the same thing. So again, it's post-traumatic. So it's post-trauma. So the trauma doesn't have to be just because it's for someone in the military. It could be a relationship that you're in. That is a traumatic experience, because your body goes through changes when you go through breakups. Your body goes through changes when you go through severe experiences. And part of that is it affects your heart. Last week I talked about broken heart syndrome. It's actually a thing. They can measure the condition of a person that has had that has a healthy heart, hasn't had a bunch of experience, and then after a traumatic experience, if they do a scan on that heart, they can see swelling, scar tissue, more redness. They see all of these different deformities that take place after or because of that experience. Because, again, your nervous system is jacked up, your heart is affected, you're and I'm going to get into that, so I don't want to get too far in that. But my point is, there's effects, there's causes, and there's effects. Because this happened, this is the result. And a lot of this stuff, when you really look at it, it's part of the way that the Most High made us, that we can protect ourselves. We can protect our bodies, are self-protecting, organisms, or self-protecting, whether it's grief or whether it's, the different things. So post-traumatic stress disorder. One of the signs. Let me get into the definition for anybody that's just coming in here now. If you weren't in here the other day, a lot of times these things again are reoccurring. These are not the Okay, yeah. Let me read this definition. I think I'm going to go over this. Yeah, let me go over this. Initially, I wasn't, but let me do this. So PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. Because of the traumatic experience that you have gone through, you will have experiences that are going to mirror that image or mirror that experience based upon, again, what I just said, your subconscious storing the experience based upon the emotion. It classifies it as important. Because it's important, you're going to relive it. And so at some point, if you no longer want to relive the experience, you have to find out how you can break the cycle. I mean, I could share with you how to break the cycle, but that we can get to that at the end, or when I get to the end, closer to the end of these teachings or these subjects. So the first thing is, there will be reoccurring. I'm gonna go over like 6 things real quick. I'm gonna hit them briefly, and then we can, I believe that you'll have a good night and we can kind of go on our way. But the first thing is, one of the signs that PTSD might be something that you're dealing with is reoccurring experiences of that same experience. And so I kind of mentioned that a moment ago, is that you will relive those certain experiences. You will feel as if you were in that same experience, but just a different day. Because your mind doesn't know the difference between if it's an experience in our minds or an experience in life. This is why those that study the mind and the mindset, like I study different teachers like Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Dr. Greg Braden, all these different guys, gentlemen that I've studied over the years, they talk about the mind and the power of the mind and how you can change your mind and you can create your reality and you can do all these different things and how you can connect into an alternate universe because, most of the times when we're dealing with problems on our third dimension, which represents where our senses is and things along those lines. But when you move past that through meditation and different things, you can recreate an experience based upon feeling the emotion of it and seeing yourself in it and believing it. And so once you get to the point where you really believe it and you do this continually every day and you practice it and you feel it, you see it, you experience it, you feel it, you see it, you experience it. Put that in the chat. You feel it, you see it, you experience it. Then what happens is, and thank y'all for the taps. Then what happens is your mind starts accepting it, because anything you do as a habit, your mind will start accepting it as this is part of the behavior. So your subconscious is going to take that information, going to store it away. And so when you have that next experience that you have is going to be directly connected to the past experience, because it's going to just keep playing the recording until there's some process that you go through to change the recording. So first thing is, you're going to have reoccurring distressed memories of the experience. And that could come in many different ways. And the second thing would be, sometimes the reoccurring distress symptoms would be through your dreams, like the things that you dream or you see at night, or maybe nightmares. Because the third thing the third thing would be is, many people that have PTSD, they have problems sleeping. My friend that was in the Iraq War, Desert Storm. He tells me all the time. He said, "Man, I can't sleep. I never sleep." He talks about, I sleep 2 hours a night and I'm up all night and I'm walking. And he said, "I can't sleep." He said, "I have these nightmares." And so this is all part of this. This is what I'm telling you. And yes, his experience might be more dramatic and more drastic and whatever, but whether you're in the military or whether you're somebody that's used to move past that person, the more that if you never decide to move on from that person, you're just going to keep reliving this experience over and over again. One of the first things I stress to people that I'm actually truly coaching is that you got to disconnect in every way, shape, or form from that person that was part of your pain and your hurt. Why would I still hold on to something that's painful and don't think it's going to hurt me? If this bottle was hot instead of cold, if I was still holding on to it, it would be, and see, this is where the difference between pain and suffering comes in. Pain represents that you touched it and you said, "Oh, that hurt." Suffering comes in is that it's painful, but we're just still holding on. Oh, we're just yet holding on. Keep on keeping on. We're just yet holding on. I learned the hard way. That sometimes I held on to things that I was supposed to let go of. And the longer I held on to it, the more suffering. Your suffering is directly connected to how long you hold on to things that you should let go of. It's true. Emotional and physical abuse or physical betrayals. It's gonna bring a level of emotional based upon the emotional and physical betrayals, and this is where it comes from. This is why it affects the totalness of you as a person. It's going to affect you emotionally. It's going to affect you physically in your body. It's going to affect you spiritually. It's going to affect you from top to bottom. So this is why I'm sharing this information, because I want people to see the importance of them getting the help they need to move their lives on. Number 5 would be one of the signs, and this is one that I looked at myself when I was going through this and studying this, is withdrawal from social activities and avoid memories. That's something that I did. I still do. I don't go to too many places. I'm home all the time. I'm alone all the time. That's probably a part of it. And so whenever I study something, I look at myself in the process of studying something, because, sometimes we don't see ourselves, we don't see ourselves in things while we do things. And we can make it and of course I have a reason. Oh, I don't want to deal with this and I don't want to do that. But is that the real reason? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Yes. Initially, when I first started, there was a whole bunch of, gaslighting and a whole bunch of, people spreading rumors and all these things. And I wasn't going to answer any questions. And I knew that if I answered questions, there was a real good chance I was going I was going to answer a question in a way that was not going to be nice. It would not have been. It would not have been nice. You know. Nah, no. It's to me, for me it was more than that because yes, there is a part of me that's always been you know to okay with not being around a lot of people, but then there's still a part of me because of my family that I have a pretty nice sized family that I enjoy being around people. But I don't have to be. So it's almost like I'm straddling the fence. But within the last 4 years, I've been basically go see my parents on Saturdays. I'm home. I don't go out to any places. And I went to a real estate meeting like about 2 months ago, and I'm just using this as an example. And the only reason why I went was because I'm building a business. So, I had to go out there. I got to meet new people and, that whole experience and those whole things. And so number 5 would be avoiding discussions about the betrayal and the partner. And that was that was one of the parts as to why I'd probably, and I know why, that I didn't associate with family and people because I know that would have been a topic. Oh, well, y'all, because we were couples goals and what happened? And then, and so instead of me saying, yo, ain't none of your business, go worry about yourself, worry about your raggedy husband, just whatever what I would have said. Because I can, just like my voice can be used to heal. Again, you got to know yourself. Just like my words can be used to heal, my words can sever heads very easily. The same tongue. Because if you're a healer, you got to watch because just like you're a healer, you can be a destroyer very easily if you're not careful. If you're not careful, really. And so because I know me, because I'm the type that I mind my business. I'm not in nobody else. When my other family members was involved with stuff, I didn't get involved with nobody's sides. I didn't want to hear nothing. I said, you're my prayer, so on and so forth, out of respect. Out of respect, because to me it should be a respectful thing that the same thing I do to you, you should do for me. Because I'm always the mindset to me is okay. Whatever I do to you, I know that I'm going to get back to me, or hopefully I should get back to me. Because I believe in sowing and reaping and giving, and so that was part of the mindset. So yeah, there was a process in number 5 where there was a withdrawal from social environments and social events. Even with my friends, like I had a cousin he's a chef in the area and he goes to all these different events and he invite me to events and I'd be like, I'm not going to that event. Yeah, I could have went, yeah, but I decided not to go because for one reason, again, it's local. A lot of people know me by me being in real estate. And my person that I was married to, she was a realtor. So we were in this business together. Pretty much everybody know us. So then if somebody sees me out and then they see me talking to some chick or something, then you got the whole thing of the rumors and, oh, he was with this. And even though it don't matter because I'm no longer married, but it's probably part of it. So this is why I'm talking about this, because again, this is all part of the examination of self, the post-traumatic. Like I don't have the nightmares about anything. No, I haven't had that stuff in years, but there's still pieces that I see that have to be dealt with. So again, examining self, learning from the experience, not allowing it to be the type of thing that now your heart is hardened from the experience. Feeling an emotional detachment from others. If you have a person that is extremely emotionally detached from others, that could be a sign. Sometimes it's because they're a loner, like Lataya was saying, but other times it's because they have their guard up, and their guard up is I'm not going to. They've said inside of their mind, I'm not going to open up myself to anybody else. I'm not going to trust anybody, so on and so forth. All the rhetoric that we say to ourselves is part of what was said. And so the thing with trust, like I've said often, is that trust is something that through this journey has to be reestablished and reset in you. Because when you go through betrayals, when you go through someone betraying you and your nervous system is jacked up and your body's out of whack and you're having trouble sleeping and all these different things that I discussed. Your heart, you have that broken heart syndrome and just all the things that go along with it. You're discouraged and maybe there's some grieving things, some things with grief that are going on in the same time. you're at a very, very touch and go place right at that point. And so when you look at trust is not something that you're going to be necessarily open to, because when the last person that you trusted, you had a negative experience from it. The person that you loved and you trusted and you were there to honor and to cherish and to respect and all this, they turned around and they disrespected you, and they didn't show you any trust. They gave you a reward for your loyalty. They gave you manipulation and deception. For your loyalty, for you investing loyalty in them, they gave you manipulation and deception. And so because of that, there's a tendency to be on guard when you meet somebody else new sometimes. But the part with all of that is, learning to use that discernment and that intuition, because you know within yourself if a person is a good person based upon not just what they say, but what your energy is telling you about that person. The lessons that I learned from from the previous, even the last 3 relationships I had, I learned lessons in all 3 of them. And the main lesson I learned because of my marriage, I learned the things that I wanted versus the things that I don't want. So when I saw it in the other 2 relationships after that, it was easy for me to make a decision. I didn't delay and drag something out like I did in my marriage for all these extra years and suffered. And that's why I talked about suffering. A lot of my suffering was directly connected to me holding on to something that I was already grieving and knew that it was supposed to end. But because of being hard-headed, because of being not listening or not understanding, whatever word I want to use, because of not understanding, because of not perceiving, because of whatever, I stayed, and because of my beliefs, and because of, we got to stick in there, and because of the positive motivation that I believe, you got to stick in there, you got to keep trying, you got to believe, and she's constantly showing me that I'm wasting my time. But I'm believing that by faith that I can turn this thing around, and that somehow, the Most High make a way out of no way, and all this rhetoric and all this stuff. But sometimes what we're being shown is what it is. I can't make an apple an orange. I can't make an orange an apple. It is what it is. Put it in the chat. It is what it is. And part of this whole process is acceptance. Am I willing to accept the thing that I cannot change? You can't change another person. You can't change their thoughts, their actions, their deeds, or anything else. We are all responsible for our own actions and our own deeds and the things that we do. We're all responsible. And so when you look at trust, we're responsible to rebuild our trust, because we're supposed to be able to trust. And the first part of trust has to be us trusting ourselves. This ain't about trusting nobody else. I trust myself. I know what my body feels like when I'm around someone or with someone that is not a good match or healthy for me. I know what my body feels like. You should remember, this is why you write. This is why you journal. This is why you do all the things that you did throughout your healing process, so that you can go back and you reflected and you did some introspection where you really, really looked inside. Not with kit gloves where you did it in a nice way, but you actually looked inside and examined self-examination, introspection, looking inside, looking at that man or that woman in the mirror and seeing the things that needed to change. One thing, again, that needed to change. And I was talking about this with my nephew Saturday, because he asked me that question. He said, what was one of the biggest lessons that you learned? I said, one of the biggest lessons I learned was starting to trust my intuition, because I didn't do it. I didn't do it for years. And that's why I suffered, because I refused to hear, because it didn't line up with when I think back and I say it now, it didn't line up with the image or the belief that I had of this person. So I fought against myself. I gaslit myself. I lied to myself. So anything she said was just fuel to the fire of what I believed or didn't want to believe, because it was easy to manipulate me because I was manipulating myself. That was one of the first and one of the most important key lessons that I was supposed to learn through that process, was to trust my intuition. So it's exactly what I do now. So that's why when I get a thought about someone, I write it down in my book. I got a book that I have all my dreams in, because I dream pretty much a lot of nights, not every night, but a lot of nights. And when I wake up in the morning after meditation or prayer, a lot of times I have certain things that I'm grateful for, or even throughout the day, if I'm conscious of it, I write out things that I'm grateful for, but I also write out things that I'm thinking. What are my thoughts? What are my thoughts on this? What is a question that came into my mind? Or what is something that, a thought that I had about someone? Because the thought that I have about someone, a lot of times, because I don't have evil thoughts about people, that's a revelation that later on I'll get confirmation of if it's true or not. Whether it's my thoughts or it's actually I'm getting in a revelation from my discernment or intuition. Is it true or not? If you normally wouldn't think certain things about your sister and you get a thought about her, a lot of times that's showing us what we need to hear. And so because of my religious standings on things and don't think evil of others and think on these things, whatsoever thing is lovely, whatsoever thing is good, whatsoever thing is this, and that you can't, because not every person, but that was another part of it. I had these rose-colored glasses on where I thought that people were just good people. There's good people, but there's a lot of people that are not good people in this society. When I say not good people, it's just like in biblical times. One of the verses that often I go back to is said that the heart of man is deceitful and desperately wicked. Jeremiah 17:9. The heart of man is deceitful and desperately wicked. Above all things, men's hearts from the beginning, even in Genesis, and I'm not trying to teach a Bible study, but men's hearts in the beginning. Why was the earth in that allegory destroyed? Because the hearts of men were fully wicked. They were wicked, and it's no different now where we are today. The heart, and that's how I identify of where someone is, if they're a good person or if they're a wicked person. Their hearts. Do they have a pure heart? Are they a truthful person, or are they an untruthful person? And they have a wicked heart, and they're looking to do deceptive things and manipulative things to harm and hurt other people. Because to consciously do things to hurt other people requires an evil, wicked heart. That's why when you look at who the Creator chose, He always chose people that had what? Good hearts. That's why out of all of David's brothers, who did He choose? He chose the guy that was out in the field, strumming a harp, tending the sheep, doing things that it wasn't impressive to everybody else. He wasn't of the full stature and big and grown and all these other things. But he's the one that the Most High looked and saw his what? His heart. His heart. His heart. Your heart is important. That's why who you hook up with is important. Who the person that you decide to have in your life. One of the biggest things with compatibility is that you have to make sure, if you're a person that actually has a good heart, you have to make sure that the person that you're with has a good heart, a genuine good heart without any agendas. And that takes time. That takes time. It takes time to see, But when people have shown you, accept it. That's where trust comes in. You have to trust. You have to trust yourself. Because if you can't trust yourself, you'll never trust anything else. You won't trust the Most High. You won't trust another person. And if you won't trust, then you'll never have faith. And if you won't have faith, you won't be pleasing. Right? So that's all I wanted to share with y'all. I went off on a tangent, but this whole thing is post-traumatic stress disorder. There are consequences for our actions. There's consequences for you choosing that person, marrying that person. That don't mean that you're a bad person. That just means that you made a bad choice because they were not the person, but they were the person. They were the perfect person to take you through this journey to get over, to figure out how to get over on the other side and still keep your heart pure. That's my thought for y'all for tonight. Like I always say, I believe in you. But you got to believe in yourself. Thanks. Talk to you soon.